welcome Anjum sir to Box Office India. It's always a pleasure to have you again and again with us. Because I think you are the connection for an organization like us with writers and association like the Screenwriters Association. My first question was, the Screenwriters Association has started an initiative where we're talking about equal pay for writers. I want to go back a little bit because there was a time when writers like Salim and Javed, they got a lot of, they came to the forefront as the face of the films that they wrote. And then there came a lull, and then again we're talking about writers. Why do you think that change happened? And why did the association feel this was the right time to talk about equal pay and fair pay and stuff like that?
See, frankly, Padma, it's been one of the paradoxes actually of Indian cinema particularly, where while the medium is clearly acknowledged as a storytelling medium, and yet the first storyteller, the person who actually conceives of the story, formulates it, puts it down, on the basis of which the entire film is made, is actually the most invisible character around, and sometimes also the most dispensable. As a result of which, because the process is not valued, because maybe it has not been fully understood as to what really goes into the writing of a script, because it is done quietly, alone, silently, etc. Whereas the other people's work is clearly seen. This is the camera, the editing, the acting,
the art direction, everything is
seen clearly, and it's done hands-on on the set. Whereas here this is done quietly, and once when the filmmaking begins, that work is already ended. Perhaps this is one of the reasons. The other reason also being that because the person is writing, the writer is writing a story, everybody has an opinion on the story. Camera technicalities you don't understand, sound, editing, etc. you may not be able to fully understand. Whereas story is about life, it comes from life. Come on, I can also contribute, I also have an opinion. So therefore it used to be that the exclusivity and the specialization of the process and the writer got undermined. It never really got fully acknowledged. So if you really see, even pre-Salim Javed, you'll barely be able to name about 10 screenwriters, even though India makes the maximum number of films per year in the world. So this is a paradox which has been there. Before Salim Javed, you had Pandit Mukhram Sharma, who also was a very celebrated writer. Then before that, you had Wajahat Mirza Sahab, you had Akhtar Mirza, you had Kamal Amrohi, Ali Raza. There were a few superstars who were there. The problem was that even though Salim Javed became like the biggest stars of Indian screenwriting, it didn't translate into an upgradation of the collective fraternity. And for that it is always important that there has to be a collective effort which represents the community of screenwriters, so that when the upgradation takes place, whether it's in terms of fees or whether it's in terms of due credit, placement of credit, acknowledgement in the publicity, respect, professional respect to that particular position. So unless there is an upgradation for the entire community, change doesn't come about. Then you have individual superstars coming in and going. And this is where the Screenwriters Association comes in. It was formed about 60 years ago. And yet, unfortunately, barring the initial phases where you did have some great stalwarts like Raman Sagar, Sahil Ludhianvi, and such people who were taking it forward, it didn't really become a union, and it didn't start functioning like a union.
It didn't have its own voice like the directors of
it didn't have a militancy about it. You need for it to be proactive, you need for it to be focused with a certain program that if you're talking about acquiring and securing rights of our members, then this is how we intend to go about it. It never really sort of, that cohesiveness did not come about. Sometime in 2006, when we had the first Screenwriters Conference, Indian Screenwriters Conference in Pune, which was sponsored by the Film and Television Institute, at that time we noticed that there was so much of angst and anger amongst the people gathered there, because most of them were new writers. We had about 275 people attending, of which easily about 200 were new
New
writers.
writers.
And they bitterly lamented about feeling orphaned, feeling alone, abandoned in a jungle where they had no leverage, they had no bargaining power,
Right.
they had no protection to fall back on. Contracts were one-sided, fees were abysmal, a lot of the times they were not fully paid, credit was denied, they were treated so shabbily, they were very, very upset. And obviously the finger was pointed towards the association. What is the association doing? Which is we also were not fully aware of how the association functions. So at that time we decided that to turn it into a union, a group of us who are working professionals, who are dedicated to this task, who feel strongly about it, should get together and steer the union. So we formed what we call the Progressive Writers Group.
Right.
About 25 of us came together in Javed Akhtar's house, and we had this full participation, and we decided that we would fight the elections and take control of the managing. And that is how it actually began. So 2008, and the clear program was that we must have a minimum basic contract where certain standard clauses and minimum fees would be in place. So this bhakti we're talking about 2008 when the first election took place. I was asked to be the chairperson of the minimum basic contract committee for film.
Right.
So this was drafted, I took big lawyers into confidence, we paid them, we made sure that a proper draft was done. I got in touch with the Writers Guild of America, showed it to their legal people, discussed it with them, they all felt yes, this was the right path. And from then in January, on the 19th of January 2009 was the first time I remember that we sent the draft of the minimum basic contract to the Producers Guild. So you see, we haven't woken up today. This has been going on. The point was that change takes time. Because rights are not just waiting to be handed over. You have to struggle and you have to fight for it. And also, if you're talking from the point of view of an employer, like a studio or a producer, if they can pay less, they will pay less. True. If they can, if they're not forced or they don't have to give you certain rights, they feel there's no need to give you those rights. So therefore began a multi-pronged approach from our side. Number one, the whole negotiation and the effort towards that continued. Number two, we also realized that we need to have much more presence of the writers in the media. So we began that also. Number three, we realized that the caliber of writing itself has to be upgraded, because it is true, writing has been a neglected craft. We have wonderful young people with great ideas, etc., but not all of them necessarily have the craft. In a competent way to be able to deliver. So we decided that we would also initiate programs, workshops, fellowships, etc. So the Screenwriters Association became very active in the educational field to do that. And number four, what happened, by the way, is that the Copyright Act was going to be amended. And here Javed Akhtar had already taken the lead, and he was making sure that lyricists and music composers, etc., would find a proper due protection in the drafted, amended law. And we also realized that this was an opportunity. So I was closely in touch with Javed Akhtar, and he has been, of course, an excellent guide. And had it not been for him, this wouldn't have gotten amended. That is, let's say it clearly. But it was important also that we don't sort of completely, lean on him and push him. So I also then began, and we began to sort of, through the Screenwriters Association, we realized that legislative protection, and if there is actually a proper statutory intervention in our position of our rights, it would give us tremendous boost. So we lobbied very, very hard for that. So under the leadership of Javed Akhtar, the Screenwriters Association also pushed it. Several meetings we had, I drafted clauses, etc. Fortunately, the Act of Amendment. So these were the four ways in which we wanted to push it. So now that this is done, the implementation of that depends also on the Copyright Society, which has been formed, which has gone up for registration, and we are waiting for the registration to come through so that we can operationalize it. the caliber of Indian writing has really gone up in recent
yes,
times,
it
as
has.
you can see.
Yes.
Films today are being led by good scripts.
Right.
If you have no stars and but you
Doesn't
have a great
matter.
script and a competent director, films are beginning to do
Yes.
well. Recent examples are aplenty.
Correct.
On the other hand, star vehicles with bad scripts are
Yes.
falling here, there and everywhere. So even those people are realizing that you can have all of those attractive elements, but without a script, those elements
True.
are useless.
Useless.
As far as the media is concerned, yes, the media also, which I have to be extremely grateful to Box Office here, because that was the first magazine, first respected magazine where all I had to do was make one request to Nitin, as well as to Wajir, that when you do your reviews and you carry the basic information about the film,
Like
there is
the
a
writer's
producer, actor, director, please put
Mention
the writer's
writer.
name. It should be instantly, they said, done from next issue onwards, you will see
Right.
that, and it happened.
Right.
So likewise, look at Box Office, look at various other magazines, newspapers, etc. People are beginning to take note
Right.
that yes, writing is an extremely important component, if perhaps not one of the most important components of the filmmaking process. So that's been happening, and these negotiations have been going on. So here, what has changed is that in recent times there has been an acknowledgement by the film industry that we do need good scripts. You can't make a good film
I
without
think they
a
learned
good
the hard way.
They learned the hard way through experience and through a cost.
Obviously.
Through a huge cost in terms of hundreds of crores,
Correct.
cumulatively, you realize that if only we had
Spend a little, a
more
fraction of that amount on a good
on
writer
better
or a good
scripts,
story.
we could have got perhaps
Exactly.
all those crores.
Yeah, and it's proof because there have been smaller films with, like you said, hardly any star cast, but a good story have gone on to make 3 times, 4 times, 5 times what they have started off with.
Exactly, and the 2018 has been a stellar year for both.
Yes.
3 big vehicles collapse, and you have your Badhaivos and your Strees and your Andaduns and now your Mulk and your Article 15, and
Right.
suddenly you discover
Right.
that these films are doing so well because the story is being told very well.
Very well.
So these changes came about, and I was also fortunate that I was working with Excel because I'm doing film, I've done a film for them. So Ritesh and I were in a discussion, and clearly he was also very focused that we do need good scripts because only then can we make good films. So he was asking me what are your views about
Right.
it, and one of the things which I did suggest to him is that I said yes, we can set up a script acquisition process for you and attract good talent. But at the same time, I think it is important that you also make sure that you will guarantee certain basic rights and
Rights
certain
to the
basic
writers.
fees. So he said, explain to me what? And I did outline that this is the slab that I'm talking about.
Okay.
That if there's a budget of a film under 5 crore, then the minimum script fee will be 12 lakh.
Okay.
That means even if the budget is 3 crore or 2 crore, you will not fall below that. So the
Right.
minimum that a writer should be paid
Is 12.
is 12. Then if the budget is between 5 and 15 crore, then the minimum fee should be 24 crore, 24 lakhs that the writer should be paid. And if the budget is above 15 crore, then the minimum fee that the script should be paid, the script should be valued at, is 36. He looked at it, and I must tell you, instantly, he said, no, this is completely reasonable, absolutely. And so we moved on and we said, okay, now let us sort of agree on this formally and let us announce it. And therefore it was announced. And we are also hoping that we will begin negotiation very quickly with the other studios. And we are hoping that they will also come on board. Ritesh has also agreed to help us. I had a long discussion with and meeting with Aamir. Aamir said this is absolutely reasonable. And
He has
must
always been on board on all of this.
And that we had a public discussion with Siddharth Roy Kapoor during the 5th Indian Screenwriters Conference in August last year, where he publicly admitted, he said, and I think there should be a standard contract, certain clauses, standard clauses, and I'm very happy to discuss that on behalf of the guild, and if it works out, I'm happy to recommend it to the members of the guild. So I think now finally the breakthroughs are
it's good to hear that.
moving
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
So what is important is that the association has to continue to be vigilant about ensuring that this is implemented, and on the other hand, writers have to ensure that if they are getting a certain value, what they give should be more than that.
True.
You get 100, you must give 125.
Right.
Then your reputation is built up, and people are very happy
Correct.
to sort of make
Because
sure.
tomorrow you don't want a studio to turn around and say, we are giving you so much, but it's not there in the quality of the work you do.
Absolutely.
That is very
You
important.
see, it's creative work, but also one cannot always guarantee the end result, but the quality of the effort.
Exactly.
Your effort has to be
Right,
there.
right,
You can't say it is casually done,
Exactly.
disregarded sort of work that way. So it's happening, and I mean, let me state it absolutely in print and in front of you on record, that I feel in the next 5 years, you will find a mutative upgradation in the quality of scripts coming out. And I'm sticking my neck out with a figure that you will find that 50 production-worthy scripts written on spec will be floating around, where producers will be spoiled for choice. Sir, I have 5 scripts, I want to make all of them. What do I do? This is what we are looking at. This is what the Screenwriters Association actually dreams about, and this is also what I personally have been dreaming about for the last 2 decades. That we should have a situation where there are these dozens of wonderfully written scripts floating around, written on spec.
Correct.
That is important.